Welcome everyone to Out of the Box podcast. In this episode, it's a very special one. We're going to be talking about our Oscar predictions. Dominick and I, Micaela, will be talking about what we think will win for the Oscars. This is our own predictions. We don't actually have merit on deciding this, but here we go.
We don't have merit yet.
Not yet.
But we're only going to predict the major categories, as we really don't have much to say about documentary or short film or sound mixing and those like that. So we're going to go over the major ones, and we're going to start with music and original score. This is one of my favorite ones to look at. So the nominees are Black Panther, BlacKkKlansman, If Beale Street Could Talk, Isle of Dogs, and Mary Poppins Returns. All fantastic films from this year. What are the favorites for you?
So my favorites are Black Panther, BlacKkKlansman, Isle of Dogs, and Mary Poppins Returns. I don't know, they're all so good, but if I had to pick one, it would have to be Black Panther. It just stuck out.
Yes, I am going to agree. When you hear the score, you know what film it's from. You know it's from Black Panther. These other films, yes, they have good scores. They have great scores. It's not necessarily that you listen to it and you're like, oh, I know what film it's from. Black Panther sticks out. And I absolutely appreciate that movie. That's going to be both of ours winner for Best Original Score.
And that's a first. We really don't pick the same stuff, but we picked one on that one. Now the next category is music, the original song. Now we have all the stars from Black Panther, I'll Fight in RBG, The Place Where Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns, Shallow from A Star Is Born, and When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
There's only one right answer here, right?
I shouldn't say right answer, it's just a favorite. Probably from both of us as well. We probably both take this. Now what is it?
It is going to be Shallow from A Star Is Born. You can't say that anything else is a better song than that. It's a perfect song.
I don't know. I really liked All the Stars from Black Panther. It's a very radio hit, though. And I do like The Place Where Lost Things Go, but the one from that list that always makes me tear up and my arm hairs stand up and I get a chill down my spine would be Shallow. Mm-hmm. Every time. Yeah. Every time.
And the fact that it comes from Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper actually learned how to play the guitar and how to sing in order to make that. And
Lady Gaga helped write it.
Yeah, and Mark Ronson helped write it too. And so, yes, that's absolutely going to be the favorite for both of us for Best Original Song. Now we're going to move on to production design, which is definitely very, very important to a film. And the nominees are Black Panther, The Favorite, First Man, Mary Poppins Returns, and Roma. What do you think?
I liked all these sets. They were great. Although something that you have to go from the top of your head, Black Panther. For me, just because this is a fake country. And you have to think, okay, so if we're in the continent of Africa, and if there were to be a country where it would be high tech, what would it look like? And they really had to think about that. The other ones, it comes from history or location. So I think that Black Panther sticks out for me.
That's actually a really good point. So what I was thinking of when it comes to production design is how much is practical set building versus green screen visual effects. Because there's the visual effects piece, and that's its own category, which is what we're actually going to talk about next. But for production design, we want to make sure that there's those practical sets and there's a mix of that visual effects. Black Panther absolutely looks stunning, and it deserves to be lauded for visual effects. But for production design, I actually think something like Mary Poppins Returns is actually fantastic in this category. Because if you look at some of the behind-the-scenes videos, how they made those scenes work, like when she falls into the bathtub, makes you think that, oh, is that visual effects? No, it's a practical set that they use, and they use it for a lot of the film. So I actually say production design, I would give it to Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah, that was my runner-up, I would say. Although I think that the production design department still needs to work with visual effects to kind of match what is going to be an actual product on the set versus what's going to be added in later. So I don't know. We both have a different feeling on that one. Now the next category is visual effects. We have Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, and Solo: A Star Wars Story. This is always a category that has different movies in it than you see in other categories.
Mm-hmm. And let's just first take a second to reflect on how far we've come with visual effects. Even just 5-10 years ago, we're not seeing this many movies with amazing visual effects. So if you look at this list, 2 of them absolutely stick out to me as the favorites. Christopher Robin and Avengers Infinity War are the 2 that jump off the screen. Most times I'm going to say Avengers Infinity War is absolutely the runaway favorite. But you look at what they did with Christopher Robin, bringing those characters to life with Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and Piglet and Eeyore and all of those beloved characters. They made them look real. And that was just astonishing accomplishment. However, Thanos is probably the single greatest visual effects accomplishment ever in cinematic history. So I'm going to have to give it to Avengers Infinity War.
So stemming off of Thanos, if you've seen behind the scenes footage of Josh Brolin as Thanos in that big gray suit, you wonder how the heck did they get from that to that? But I don't know, they did really well. And I also have to agree the 2 that are the top on my list would have to be Avengers Infinity War and Christopher Robin, although Christopher Robin would have to be first for me just because how they were able to make it look so realistic. Because Avengers Infinity War, although it looked really good, it still felt a little fake to me, as in these things are not actually real, blah, blah, blah. But Christopher Robin, it felt real.
I mean, it made me believe that there was a 10-foot tall purple man.
Alien.
Interacting with a raccoon.
I don't know. I just loved Christopher Robin. But that's our predictions. But
so next we have the writing categories, and we're going to go first with a best adapted screenplay. And the nominees are The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Klansman, Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born. What do you think?
You might not like me for this answer, but I believe it's Black Klansman. I thought Spike Lee did a really great job adapting that from the book, that was an actual story, to live. Like a live action movie, here we go. Because it's a real story. Like perfecting that and getting the blessing from Ron Stallworth, that's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, now, just adapting something to the big screen is absolutely something that's very difficult. But also looking at how it's written as well. I mean, A Star Is Born is just perfect the way it's written from start to finish. However, I'm going to have to agree with you. Black Klansman is even more perfect. It's absolutely one of my favorite movies of the year, but the way that they set it up, the way that it flows, it's just great if you go into a screenwriting class in a college and you throw that script down. They're probably going to say, "This is how you write a script."
I think it's wonderful.
Spike Lee is absolutely professional. He's one of my favorites in the business.
I hope he takes home the Oscar for that category. Like, nothing against A Star Is Born. Think it's great, but it's still very fictional.
And it's been done before.
And it's been done before many, many times. They did a great job this time, but BlacKkKlansman has not been done. Still surprises me that I'm like, wait, this book has been around for how long? And this is a true story, and now they write a screenplay on it, and they actually produce it. But they said Spike Lee has been working on it for quite some time now.
But do you think anybody other than Spike Lee could have done this movie?
No.
Spike Lee has a different way of looking at things, a different way of presenting things, and I don't think it would have worked with any other filmmaker. So I think he was able to develop that script with his partners. Absolutely perfect.
I'm still really shocked that you agreed with me. I shouldn't say agree with me, but you also had the same idea. Now our next category is writing. This is original screenplay. And we have The Favorite, First Reformed, Green Book, Roma, and Vice. Now, what do you think of these?
So all of these it's very hard to choose from. They're all fantastic films. Now, if we're looking at how the story flows from one piece to the next and how it's structured, I'm going to have to actually look at ones that I want to take out. So first, I'm going to have to take out Vice just because I think from a screenplay standpoint, it's just a little different. I liked what they did with it. I just don't think the screenplay is as strong as these other ones.
Hard to follow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm actually going to go with Roma on this one.
I had a toss-up between Roma and The Favorite, and I went with The Favorite. I don't know. I really loved how it was written. When you see the trailer for it or whatever, which doesn't do anything justice, you're like, oh, it looks boring. But the dialogue between the characters, it's heavily relied on that. And I think that's what a screenplay is. And I think that The Favorite, not having many characters in it, first off, writing them as female is second. And third, relying a lot on the dialogue really shows how that screenplay really played out.
Mm-hmm. One of the reasons why I went to Roma is because one of the very difficult things is to write a film without as much dialogue, which Roma does have less dialogue. So it's harder to kind of write those shots and those scenes where it's going to be a lot of that camera panning, a lot of that moving and that art. It's hard to write that, and Alfonso Cuarón was able to write that in to the film. So I think that he definitely gets some bonus points for that. So that's why I went with Roma.
Yeah, that's why it was a toss-up between the two.
And so next is actually one of my favorite, and both of our favorite categories in the entire Oscars, animated feature film. We have our 5 nominees: Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
This year, I just want to say, I'm like, why aren't these animated films a part of the Best Motion Picture category? Because we had some pretty great animated features. Usually I would say that in other years past, but this year, they held their own.
Yeah. What was it, last year when we had movies like Boss Baby nominated? Like, that was definitely a weak animated year. This year, very, very strong. Very, very strong. And for me, the winner, I don't think, has any question, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
No, not for me.
There's no... What?
No.
I want to hear this.
It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up for me, but I'd have to go with Isle of Dogs.
What?
I cannot go wrong with Wes Anderson. He has that unique mind, and putting it onto the screen, come on. And think about how long it took them to make this movie. I mean, animated as well, it takes a while, but Isle of Dogs is very unique. I'm not saying Spider-Man Into the Universe is not unique. It's still based on comic books, though. And Isle of Dogs is not.
So, just because
It comes from a unique mind.
Let's go ahead and debate. Let me throw your 2 points back at you. One, it doesn't matter that it's already a existing IP. That actually makes it more difficult to make a perfect movie and make a well-received movie from an existing property. Two, just because Wes Anderson made the film as a stop-motion movie doesn't mean that it's a better film. Because it's more difficult to make doesn't make it a better film. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse takes everything you need to make a great movie. Great characters, great script, humor, emotion. Have that that connection, and of course, somebody that you can connect with. Which you had multiple characters that you can connect with. You can connect with Gwen Stacy. You can connect with Miles. You can connect with Peter. This film was just blew my mind.
It did blow my mind. I was even thinking about one of the shockers in the film. I'm not going to spoil it for y'all if you haven't seen it yet. But I don't know. I still love Isle of Dogs. I think it's beautiful. I think that the acting is great. I think that Wes Anderson... you already know I have a love for Wes Anderson. I have his book. I have his book sitting right here.
Biased.
The Wes Anderson collection.
Well, I guess I'm biased because I have my Spider-Man comic sitting right there too.
Yeah, see, exactly. So you knew, like, if you're watching us right now, you'd know from our background that we have a bunch of different variety of things we like. But I don't know, you can't fight me on the fact that Isle of Dogs should have taken this home.
I liked Isle of Dogs, so I'm not saying that it wasn't a good movie. It was fantastic, but Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse. And hey,
wait. I want to go back to that because it was very, very unique how they went from just the translator and the dogs speak English and everyone from that country did not. So it was very interesting. Oh, the translators and that little girl spoke English and the dogs, and then everyone else spoke Japanese.
But anyway, before we get at each other's throats about about what is the better animated film, we're going to move on, and we're going to actually get to the acting part of the Oscars. We're going to start with the actor in a leading role. The 5 nominees are Christian Bale for Vice, Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born, Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, and Viggo Mortensen for Green Book. All 5 fantastic performances, but there can only be one winner.
And I'm going to say my top 2. Now, this person I'm about to say did not get it for me, but it was almost there. Rami Malek from Bohemian Rhapsody playing Freddie Mercury. I thought he did a really good job. Now, what made me not say it was him, he didn't actually sing. It wasn't him singing. So I know it's not a part of the acting and whatnot, but he didn't get into the role enough to be like, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to try to sound like Freddie Mercury. That could have also not been his choice. It could have been the choice of the director or whoever made that choice. I think he did a pretty decent job, but what takes it home for me would be Bradley Cooper, A Star Is Born. He acted his heart out in that film, and you felt his emotion. And even though maybe he didn't blatantly say his backstory, you knew what was going on in his head.
Mm-hmm. I have to absolutely agree. And actually, earlier today, I was in the car and I was playing the Star Is Born soundtrack. And me listening to the songs, it made me think of Bradley Cooper's character and what he went through, and thinking, man, this person made me feel emotions for a fake person, a fake character.
Still real emotions, though.
Yeah. Me thinking of it has my hair stand up my arm and my eyes water up just by thinking of that character. So I have to give the win to Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. I mean, would you agree that Rami Malek would be runner-up?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that he's probably the second favorite there. But I definitely think that Viggo Mortensen is probably one that I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up winning for this when the actual Oscars come around. But
Still
for
a strong actor.
Absolutely. But for me, I think Bradley Cooper just had the best performance in a leading role. And we're going to move on to Best Supporting Actor, where we have Mahershala Ali for Green Book, Adam Driver for Black Klansman, Sam Elliott for A Star is Born, Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Sam Rockwell for Vice. Again, fantastic performances here as well, but one actor in a supporting role. Do you have a favorite?
I'm going to say top 3, but I'm also going to tell you my favorite. Mahershala Ali in Green Book. He never disappoints. Mm-hmm. He is awesome. Awesome. And I can't wait to see him in Alita Battle Angel.
Yes. That's gonna
now,
be great.
Adam Driver in Black Klansman. Surprising to me. He did a really good job. Surprising as in like him in that film, like outstanding. And Sam Elliott in A Star is Born. Although he had a little role, wasn't shown that much, that emotion. Oh my God, I'm getting teary-eyed myself. Like, you have to see it. There's this one scene at the end where you see kind of his last bits of him. And you're like, wow, this is like real life. But my favorite would have to be Adam Driver. Come on, Adam Driver. I thought he was great in Black Klansman.
Yeah, rewatching that film recently, how far he went for that role and saying the things that he said for that character, I don't think many actors would have said the things that he said.
Even if it's just an acting.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, because it looks real on the screen. And so another actor in that same movie, Topher Grace, spoke about he played David Duke in that movie, and he talked about how he was afraid to play David Duke because of people would look at him as a villain. Imagine being a white guy on the screen saying all these racial slurs. Now, he's not actually that kind of guy in real life, but he had to play that part because the character was going undercover into the KKK, and I just think he was outstanding. And Adam Driver is one of my favorite actors out here. I'm going to give him the win as well, so we're actually pretty in common this time.
Now I'm starting to think, though.
Oh, my gosh.
I might say Mahershala Ali. I don't know. He's just a really strong actor, and going back-to-back great acting jobs, Moonlight, Green Book.
The first half of season 1 of Luke Cage. He's what made that.
He's
After
in the Alita Battle Angel. Like, he does very different acting styles, and he does a great job. I don't know. Now I'm like, Mahershala Ali should get it, but...
He's always strong in everything. He's just that strong standout performer.
I'm changing my... I love Adam Driver from Mahershala Ali.
Fine. I'll stick with Adam Driver for me. But why don't we go on to the actress nominations? Actress in a leading role. We have Yalitza Aparicio from Roma, Glenn Close for The Wife, Olivia Colman for The Favorite, Lady Gaga in A Star is Born, and Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Now, this makes me wish that they also had a category for surprising role, like surprising actor in a movie, actor and an actress. I wish they could announce a nomination list like that or a category, because I think who should get this is Lady Gaga from A Star is Born. And if they had, like I said, a category for most surprising, I think that she'd get that too. Because although we've only seen her in American Horror Stories act before, I didn't love her in American Horror Story. But when I saw her in this, I completely changed my outlook on Lady Gaga's acting.
I absolutely loved A Star is Born. It's one of my favorite films of the year. Actually made my number 1 on my list for favorite of the year. Although I don't think Lady Gaga had a stronger performance than the other actresses.
See, that's why I said this should be a surprising.
Mm-hmm. So I think the top 2 are actually going to be Glenn Close and Yalitza Aparicio. But you know what? I'm going to go with Glenn Close for The Wife.
And like I said previously, I think Lady Gaga should win, but I think Yalitza from Roma is going to take it home. I think she's going to take it home, and she deserves it. great performance.
Absolutely. And we have actress in a supporting role where we have Amy Adams for Vice, Marina de Cervera for Roma, Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk, Emma Stone for The Favorite, and Rachel Weisz for The Favorite.
I'd have to go with Rachel Weisz for The Favorite, what she went through for that role. And like I said, that movie depended a lot on dialogue. And I think that Rachel did a really good job with that role. Before even seeing that film, I thought, oh, of course Emma Stone is going to rock it. She did rock it, but Rachel stood out.
I'm going to agree with you there. Not much else to say. I think Rachel Weisz absolutely is the favorite for The Favorite.
We'll see. We'll see how the Academy votes.
Now we're down to just two categories.
And the next one up is directing. This is a tough one. Although we think there's some snubs in this, but we won't talk about this episode. We talked about in our last episode. So take a listen to that one for our podcast. Now, in the directing category, we have Spike Lee for Black Klansman, Paul Pawlikowski for Cold War, Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, and Adam McKay for Vice.
So for me, there is one person that I think deserves it. I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they deserve it. You know what? I'm just going to say they're going to win. Spike Lee.
Spike Lee as well. I think Spike Lee. Because Spike Lee, it's been a pretty big gap since his last film. And how much he put into this movie and really directing these actors. I said it before and I'll say it again. It won't be a good film and the acting won't be as superb if they did not have a great script and, of course, director.
And Spike Lee brought both. He brought both.
But I'm going to tell you right now, I think you're saying Spike Lee. You picked Spike Lee. He's going to get it. I still think Alfonso is going to get it.
I think Alfonso Cuarón is going to win. I mean,
It's
Roma's just a darling. Roma's a darling for everybody.
It hits home.
Yeah, absolutely.
For everybody.
It is the number one movie probably in this year's Oscars. It's definitely one of the top ones. I just think Spike Lee, the way, like you said, the way that he was able to take that material and make it his. This is a movie that nobody else could have done as masterfully. So I think that's the reason why that he should be winning for Best Director. Just like Jordan Peele last year was really close to winning for Best Director. He ended up winning for Best Screenplay and not Best Director, but he was one of the top because he made that movie his, and he's the only one that could have done the movie like that.
Guillermo del Toro, too. It's a very unique film coming from the mind of a genius. So, I don't know, Spike Lee and Alfonso, but then again, Black Klansman's coming from a book. So the Academy could be quote unquote seeing it as that. But Alfonso is making Roma from his own. So we'll see what happens from it. Now, our last one
is the biggest one. Best Picture. That's what you all came here for, folks. So we have Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star is Born, and Vice. So we have 8 nominations this year for Best Picture. It's going to be hard to whittle down to just one, but what are the top ones on your list that you're deciding off of?
I'm deciding off of Roma, A Star is Born, and Black Klansman.
I'm going to go with those same 3 of Star is Born, Roma, and Black Klansman. For me, the absolute best movie of the year, in my opinion, is
this is the Oscars right now.
Is A Star is Born. That is, my opinion, the best picture, just because although Roma was done masterfully and it was shot beautifully and the characters, you could feel for them, A Star is Born, it was just something that you could relate to more I feel like, because there were more pieces of it. And it's also something that was fantastical as well. There was that fantastical aspect to it. And it just had everything. It had everything that I think I wanted from that film. And so that's why I have to say A Star is Born. Because that's a movie that I want to watch over and over and over again. Where Roma was great, I might not want to watch it more than 2 or 3 times, though.
Yes. I don't know. I'm trying to gather my thoughts right now. But I have to disagree with the fact that you're not saying it has to be a movie that you would watch over and over again. You
not
prefer
necessarily.
it would be. But like Moonlight, you watch it once and you're like, I'm good. I don't have to watch this again. But it still touched you in a way that no other film has. And that's where Roma stands out for me. But I don't know. I'd also have to say A Star is Born. Although I'd really love to see Spike Lee take home an Oscar.
He deserves it.
For that best picture for Black Klansman. Don't think it is best picture worthy though. So I see A Star is Born taking it home. But we could be wrong because look what happened with La La Land. Everyone thought, oh yes, La La Land, La La Land. But then Moonlight actually won.
Now, if Spike Lee walks away without an Oscar this year
After
quit. The masterful job, I'm just going to be very upset. I'm going to go on Twitter and I'm going to start ranting.
Well, I mean, it also depends on who gets it over him.
No, he deserves at least something this year.
Well, then what? Because if he doesn't win directing or best picture, I guess we're adapting from
Adapted screenplay.
I don't know.
He deserves something.
I would be a little like, oh, sad, but I wouldn't be super upset if Spike Lee didn't take anything home. It's still an accomplishment to everyone that gets nominated. Watch the Oscars on Sunday, February 24th on ABC.
So that was our Oscar predictions. We're probably not right.
No, we're probably right.
I'm probably not right. I know that. But hey, last year our Oscar predictions were actually pretty well. I think I have 30 categories, or the 24 categories. We had like 18 of them.
Yeah,
right.
Like
so
18.
We did pretty well last year. We'll see if we can do any better. But I know that last year they also had your Oscar predictions where you can put your own in and you can play against your friends. We're absolutely going to be doing that this year. So make sure to reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at OutOfTheBoxPod. Email us at OutOfTheBoxPod@gmail.com. And also go ahead and visit our website, OutOfTheBoxPod.wixsite.com/blog for some more movie updates, along with being able to send us your thoughts. This was absolutely fun today going through our Oscar predictions.
My heart race.
Yeah, but we are super excited. One of the best days of the year for a movie fan. And I am Dominick here with Micaela signing off for Out of the Box Podcast. Thank you so much for listening today and enjoy your week in the cinemas.